Welcome to this explainer. If you're currently learning Japanese, or honestly, even if you're just thinking about taking the plunge, you are exactly where you need to be. Today, we're going to unlock a massive language learning cheat code. It connects Korean and Japanese in a way that frankly feels almost like magic. Let's get right into it. For so many beginners, kanji is literally the biggest barrier to fluency. You look at a character, and it just seems like there's this endless guessing game of random sounds, right? No rhyme or reason at all. But what if I told you that your brain already holds half the answers? Seriously, if you know even a tiny bit of Korean, or just understand how Korean Hanja works, you're actually miles ahead of the pack. So here's the ultimate cheat code. Because Korea, Japan, and China share a deep, historical Hanja root system, there is this hidden, highly predictable phonetic relationship just waiting for you to exploit it. As these languages evolved, those root sounds actually stayed connected. So today, we're going to map out exactly how Korean Hanja pronunciation systematically translates into Japanese onyomi, which is the Chinese-derived reading of Japanese kanji. Here's our learning roadmap for today. First, the hidden secret of onyomi. Second, a 3-step beginner learning method. Third, practical words using the character for white, baeg. Fourth, Korean-Japanese onyomi patterns. And finally, a quick skill check word quiz. Let's dive in. Okay, part 1. The hidden secret of onyomi. Take a look at the clear divide in how kanji is read. Japanese basically has two main paths. You've got kunyomi, which are the native Japanese words, and onyomi, which are the sounds derived from the original Chinese. And here is what's really interesting. While those native meaning-based kunyomi readings have essentially zero predictable correlation to Korean, the sound-based onyomi readings follow incredibly strict, learnable rules. Our source material points out that because these nations share the exact same root characters, the evolution of those sounds is totally systematic. Moving right along to part 2, our 3-step beginner learning method. To keep this from feeling like information overload, we've boiled it down to a super simple, foolproof framework. And don't worry, you absolutely do not need to be a linguist to pull this off. Step 1. Identify the Korean Hanja sound you probably already know. Step 2. Apply a predictable Japanese phonetic shift. And step 3. Just know any rare exceptions. It's like you're taking a word straight out of your mental Korean dictionary, slapping a Japanese filter on it, and boom, you're speaking Japanese. Let's see this in action in part 3. Practical words. White, baeg. Let's look at a really tangible example to see how this builds in real life. This dictionary entry is going to be our anchor character for today. It's the character for white. Now in Korean, the meaning is hin, and the sound, that Hanja reading, is baeg. But if you check out the Japanese onyomi section, the primary reading is haku. Let's break down exactly how this transformation unfolds. Korean baeg becomes Japanese haku, and it flows so naturally. The initial B sound in Korean very frequently maps right over to an H sound in Japanese. Plus, because Japanese syllables pretty much always end in a vowel, that harsh final K consonant at the end of baeg just can't stand alone. So the Japanese language naturally softens it by adding a U, creating ku. Put it together, and baeg effortlessly becomes haku. This totally proves we aren't just guessing here, it's a completely logical phonetic formula. And just look at how incredibly often this exact baeg to haku rule applies to everyday vocabulary. I mean, words you'd use all the time. Confession in Korean is gobaek. In Japanese, it's kokuhaku. Blank space is yobaek. In Japanese, yohaku. Obvious is myeongbaek. In Japanese, meihaku. Empty space, gongbaek, becomes kuhaku. And monologue, dokbaek, becomes dokuhaku. Once your brain clicks that baeg equals haku, you instantly unlock dozens of words, completely bypassing the need for rote memorization. How cool is that? Time to level up. Part 4, Korean-Japanese onyomi patterns. Now we're going to look at what happens when this sound adapts to other consonants. This table organizes a slightly more advanced phonetic shift. Basically, when haku stands alone or meets certain soft sounds, it just stays haku. A great example is hakushi for blank paper, which is bakshi in Korean. But when haku needs a hard consonant like a ka or a ta, that ku actually drops out to make the word easier to say fast. It hardens into a double consonant, which is called a sokuon in Japanese. So baegi for white flag doesn't stay clunky like hakuku. It smooths right out into hakki. Baekgol for white skeleton becomes hakutsu. It's literally the exact same root rule, just naturally adapting for speed and conversational flow. Jumping back to our dictionary entry for just a second, while haku is absolutely the most common reading, there's also a secondary onyomi reading, byaku. You'll see this in specific advanced vocabulary, like byakgue for a white lab coat, which is baekgui in Korean, or byakgo for a white tiger from baekho. But even in this secondary reading, it still distinctly echoes that original Korean baek sound, right? That hidden connection is always there.
Let's put this into practice. Part 5. Skill Check Word Quiz.
All right, we've covered the theory, we've seen the patterns. Now it's time to put your newly acquired language superpower to the test. Here's your challenge. The Korean word is hukbaek, which means black and white. Take just a second to think about that second character, the Korean sound baek. Now, apply the primary phonetic shift you've been talking about this entire explainer. Based on those rules, how do you think this translates into Japanese? The answer is koku-haku. If you figured out that baek perfectly transforms into haku, you just successfully used Korean to predict and read Japanese kanji literally without even looking it up. And hey, here's a really fun bonus fact. Earlier we learned that the word for confession, kobaek, is also koku-haku. Because Japanese actually has fewer distinct sounds than Korean, hukbaek and kobaek both funnel down into the exact same pronunciation, koku-haku. So what does this all mean? Well, this one simple rule with the character for white absolutely proves that you already have a massive head start in Japanese. It's not a guessing game, it's a highly structured, totally hackable system. If baku reliably becomes haku, just imagine what happens to words ending in an M sound, or ng or L. Your brain is basically an offline dictionary just waiting to be decoded. So what other phonetic secrets will you discover next? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I highly encourage you to start looking for these hidden patterns in your own studies.